off screen tonight, blah, 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 blah. Good to see you guys. I don't know what it is. I think we're supposed to do gimmicks and stuff, but it's good to see everyone. My name is Nathan. I go by Duck Online. We are chilling, folks. Let's go. Yeah, but we're going to talk some politics tonight. I'm going to set up a little chat action, a little chat action. Let's go flip messages on. Let's see what's next. Oh man, looks like Not So Erudite was live a little bit ago. Erica Shantae is live right now. A couple other political streamers live right now. So good to see everyone. I hope everyone had a good week. I hope everyone had a good week. I look like I got my Friday uglies on. I look like I'm ready for the weekend. Yeah, and I know for some of you guys, you have an actual weekend. Some people don't. So hopefully everything's good. Yeah, and I know for some of you guys, you have an there's me version 2, my other side. Let's see. Cool. I just popped a poll up, so if you guys want to say what's up in chat, cool. And yeah, the craziest news, the biggest news coming out is Donald Trump's administration has arrested Don Lemon. And so this is a big deal in democracies, in any society. When you look at a free press and you look at journalists' ability to, maybe you're in your office or something and, you get a text or you get a phone call or you get a text from someone else who got a text and they say, yeah, this event is happening. You should go, here's who you can call or text to learn more, and just go, you pursue it. You go chase down the lead and you basically hope that that lead converts into a news story. And for Don Lemon, who is on YouTube, maybe you hate the guy. You might say this Don Lemon, he's not a journalist, he's an ideologue. But his story in every day in America, in the worst case, probably looks and sounds exactly the same. Hey, what's going on, Sienna or Sienna? Hello. And so his day is pretty tough. And so you ask, how does Don Lemon end up in a church in Minneapolis where there's protesters? And that's how it happens. Is he has his cup of coffee and he checks notifications, and Don Lemon knows people that Don Lemon knows, and he has some message that there's an event happening. And you can cut the story up, you can try to spin it 1,000 different ways, but at the end of the day, Don Lemon, who he is and what he does, is someone who spends the majority of his time as a journalist and as an independent sort of news broker, pursuing stories. Hey, what's going on, JR? Good to see you. Happy Friday. Yeah, and so Don Lemon, I have a small personal connection to Don Lemon. He interviewed my friend Jack Talcott, my friend Jack traveled to Washington, D.C. And yeah, Jack's kind of a funny guy. He's really easygoing most of the time, doesn't take himself or anything too seriously, but he's also a part of this organization called Veterans for Peace. So they're always doing stuff. Veterans for Peace is very active when we are, when there's like a possible conflict on the horizon. But they do radio shows on AM radio. They have chapters around the country. And so Don Lemon interviewed my friend Jack when he went to, hey, what's going on, Cold 338? So Don Lemon interviewed my friend Jack Talcott when he was in Washington, D.C. protesting the Trump administration. They're basically, their rhetoric and their penchant for violence is what some people might say. And so with Don Lemon being arrested, I think journalists around the country who know that we don't just need to cover the ICE protests, but we need to cover a lot more facets of this immigration situation. And people think that this is Donald Trump's ability to create fake news. Donald Trump basically can go to shill outlets and say, and tell me if you disagree. And Donald Trump will say, hey, I believe in you and I like you. And Donald Trump says this for one reason and one reason only, because he gets something out of it. And for Donald Trump, what he's gotten out of it has always been exposure to rural America. And what Donald Trump's gotten out of it isn't just, saying, yeah, I know the words, I know the lifestyles, I know the phrases that farmers love. But it's also been, being able to get that full news cycle into what he believes is a MAGA narrative for America. And so in some ways, it's talking down and creating a disinformation sense of things, without outright lying. And so Donald Trump and the Trump administration basically arrest this Don Lemon guy. And America needs to focus less on immigration and focus more on education. Yeah. And so when we think about education, this is precisely sort of against like what Hitler wanted. Hitler wanted people to believe that you could be not just very special for being German, and we'll leave that there for a second. Let's just celebrate our German heritage, is what this Hitler fella said. And our schnitzels, it's not just our schnitzels, but it's also, it's our ability to make like big mugs of beer. And it's the fact that we have Bavaria, we have mountains, we're mountaineers, we're conquerors, we're all these things. But Hitler did this and said, we can celebrate our heritage. And then what that heritage ultimately has to go do after you celebrate is start weapons factories. And so the analogy that I'll use, and you guys can disprove me. Yeah, let's see what this Hitler guy said. Yeah, it's vertical, it's mobile, dude, and it's Friday. But yeah, what Donald Trump does is he's not asking you to make munitions. He wants you to build a battleship, but he is asking people to manufacture fake news. He's asking people to manufacture fake conversations on social media. He wants to tell lies about the most boring politician in America, Tim Walz, someone even less significant in Jacob Frey. And yeah, and this is Donald Trump's weapon, like Hitler. This is his way to get from New York City to Los Angeles, all the way up to Alaska, and all the way down to Florida, all the way to Puerto Rico. Pretty tough. Yeah, and so, yeah, if there are European immigrants in the United States, which there are some of, America did have a unique culture. You have this very, on what some people would say, religious and entrepreneurial pilgrim community that comes out and ultimately realizes that what it is, there's like three things. There's a philosophy about sort of markets and capitalism that connects cities, that connects these really crowded urban areas where early in America, we huddled together and basically even the things we fought about, we would argue and have legal battles, and people would get into family feuds over things like farmland and timber rights. It was really a serious deal. And so you would have people faking contracts and faking business deals, faking being like the good guy that's going to come save you. And I don't know what ratioed means. I'm sorry. And so this was early America. It is immigrants, but America very quickly develops its own culture as well, much to the sort of dismay of Native Americans, Indigenous Americans, also much to the dismay of Spaniards, the Spanish conquistadors, much to the dismay of French sort of excursions to the Americas. George Washington actually loses a battle to the French. And what they did is and I know I sound like a broken record because I tell this one all the time. It's very soft and comforting. Hey, Mad Rush. Yeah, so what happened to George Washington is they stole their cannons after they resigned. They stole their cannons and they kidnapped a couple people. And they said, hey, George, you know what you're going to do? You're going to write this. You're going to take this letter that we wrote. And it's basically saying that America are a bunch of bitches. And you guys aren't going to cross this line anymore. And we're done fighting. And then you get your people back. And we're not going to do this like this anymore. And so George Washington did that. And then he actually resigned the army. Yeah, and I think people that are in the United States, even I think you can make the case that morally, it's very gray how the U.S. got all our territory, and whether there was like actually like capitalistic legal rights to something, like the Louisiana Purchase, like these large bulk deals that America got. But I also, hey, what's going on, Nia Terry? Good to see you. But I also think it's very true that, um, it's very the other sort of true thing is that people think America has our own culture generally. And so when conservatives say we have to conserve Western values, I don't think anyone really denies that, yeah, there's something there that has to be conserved, but it's probably we probably disagree that you can totally 100% describe what it is that we're conserving. What is it that we're conserving? Exactly. And so, yeah, and like, evidence of this is that there was a Confederate slave state, right? A slave state, like capital S state, like it was its own country basically for slavery. And so that is part of U.S. history. Is the Confederacy at some point in time had very little political reciprocity with Washington, or Philadelphia, any of the important cities in the North. And so when you ask actually how things got done and how people understood the United States, yeah, someone from the North could travel south and sell things to the South and buy things from the South. But every political issue wasn't directly tied back to federal politics, and it was in order to build a slave state. Hey, Brian Riviera, good to see you. It's going good. Happy Friday. I'm in my zone, Chief. I hope you guys are also in your zone. And yeah, and so, what are Western values? It's hard to say. I think Western values would somehow encapsulate. Um, I think it's even fair to say that the period from like the early Christian church, kind of taking that sort of Aristotelian philosophy from the Greeks, and then for 2,000 years, basically doing like, slavery and serfdom, doing lordship. If you've ever been a lord. Um, Oh my God! Look at Subsistier 89 is my homie. Thanks, homie. Everyone type. Don't actually type one in chat, but one in chat for Subsistier. I feel good about myself now. If you guys want to see, this is why I feel depressed. Is when I actually go to dress myself up, I have headphones, I have glasses, and I have a beanie, and that's it. And so I'm just in my like little office sort of desk space. I feel very depressed. Um, no, but yeah, I think Western values Christianity. It's people being tied to the land, and it's the reason that all of that when you wrap up this 2,000 period year of history that's full of violence and death, there's still a reason that you ultimately get Harvard University. You also get, when you think of like the beautiful ideas of like modern agrarian societies, modern infrastructure, all of these things are very Western ideas. Um, and so yeah, this idea, I think there's ideas about efficiency and expediency in there. But Western values, I also think, can easily be used as rhetoric, as either racial rhetoric, but also maybe more importantly, it's made political first. You talk about how this is what Republicans believe in today, and it's like that's not totally true. You don't like I'm a progressive Democrat, but I would vote independent. I'd vote for some Republican candidates. I'll keep saying it. And yeah, and I could find a reason that I would defend Western values. I'd also find a reason why I could be a Republican and not care about it. I might care that like cops trust their pension. I might care that we have like the right leaders in our military administration. I might care about lowering taxes at the federal level, and pushing stuff back to the states. I might care about all this stuff, and I wouldn't care about Western values. Confederates were traitors. Yeah, turncoats, scallywags. Yeah, Confederates, it was very whack. It was very whack. It's not just the slave Bible, but if you read any of the old um, antebellum philosophy, because they had their own philosophy and it was very weird. It's this idea that you're tied to your social stratum. And so their racist idea wasn't just that black people were part of a there weren't a different type of people. They would say no. And how much does this sound like Donald Trump talking about Democrats as terrorists when it's convenient? But and Donald Trump says Democrats are bad when we make them bad. Uh, but yeah, this old philosophy would be like, yeah, black people are people just like us, and these Northerners don't get that. But they are part of a different stratum, and so when you see that not all blacks read, what's wrong with that? It's like, oh, that is the definition of what slavery is, basically. You're saying that you can commit crimes and violence against black people that read, and that is just who black people are. That is the same thing. When you cannot move outside of the sort of slave land, that is what slavery is. So, will you be my friend? I'll try to. I'm neurodivergent. I know that's not that cool on YouTube, but yeah, I have a little bit of what you guys might call autism. And so I will try my best to be your friend, even if you don't notice it. Faraz, good to see you. Good to see you. It's a beautiful name, by the way. And I don't know but Arabic sounding names are some of the most beautiful names. Indian names are beautiful. Arabic is a beautiful language. Like Proto-African languages are very cool, very hard. Sanskrit names, if you guys are in India, Sanskrit names, very hard for me to pronounce. I've tried, but very difficult. Silky Train says F ice. Yeah, I'll unblock that one. You guys can see that. You guys can see that F ice stuff. I'll zoom down to the bottom. Panelverse is here. Oh my God, man. Hey, good to see you, dude. Hope you're good. I've been loving you bashing on Andrew Wilson. Hope you're all good too, because I know that's a weird side of the Panelverse. And yeah, I know Andrew, he likes that stuff, but he doesn't take kindly to it. And so, yeah, hopefully you're good, dude. I'll catch you here and around at tacos and other and rubies and stuff like that too, man. But it's cool to see. Yeah, I think when people support Christian nationalism as an excuse to justify violence, I think that's always worth standing up for. It's always worth standing up for, Ice pigs' mothers hate them all. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys think that ICE agents themselves are racist? For me as an American citizen, the fact that you get arrested, what actually happens is you get arrested by ICE and then you are sent to a new detention facility. It's like a meat packing plant. And it's not just that it's like a meat packing plant, but these are all new facilities. They're often private or for profit. Kristi Noem actually just spent $70 million in my home state of Arizona. So being informed, yeah, ICE is opening an Arizona detention facility worth $70 million for just the property. It's like the size of like 10 football fields. So it's very large. Yeah, and so they're planning on arresting more and more of these immigrants. And then, eventually my guess would be not like conspiratorial, but it's like, what do you do with them all? At some point, the people you arrest are going to have to see a judge. And so Kristi Noem wants to rush these people off to private prisons and government-run prisons and then rush them through this court system and send them away. And that's just awful. That's just awful. You hear all the time about parents who have kids with autism or other special needs, people who are escaping dangerous situations, who don't know about the legal system in the United States, don't know how to find an attorney, haven't had the chance to. And so it is not keeping justice in mind to not give these people a fair trial and a fair shot. These people, I don't care what you call them. We got to stick to that process. And I do kind of care what you call them because these are your coworkers and your neighbors. Charles says Trump is a horrible fascist and anti-Christian. Hold on, I'm going to read you guys on my monitor to catch up a little bit. Sophia, BB, Damman, hello. Faraz says there are so many things I would love to talk to you about, so I will subscribe to you. Yeah, leave them in chat. You guys can always tag me at DucksY. You guys can always tag me at DucksY. And yeah, and I'll be able to see your message right away. Ravi says, so we're just supposed to support the entire world. Anyone with any illness, we are supposed to support. That's a great question. So is Donald Trump telling the truth that Americans or other countries with far right tendencies anywhere in the world, in the United States or in America, are we supposed to support other people's problems? And it's hard for me to answer that personally. And here's how I'd posit that. And you can answer, you guys can say, fuck this guy, whatever, you can leave the stream. But truthfully, why isn't it the case that that like I should understand where America takes things from and what we put back? The United States does produce a lot. I think the US does a lot of good. But if I don't know what the United States actually is, and I'm not trying to answer that in the first place, then what would I be doing? Donald Trump wasn't like some guy who loved putting on his cowboy boots and touring rural America. He didn't like love seeing iron ore coming out of the ground. He loved knowing how much it was worth. He would love to know how much you could sell it for. And he would love to know the people and the machines that are actually turning it into something else. And so when you ask me, does the United States support other countries or should we? Yeah, absolutely. There's countries a lot poorer than us that take more refugees. And so when we think of being able to bring people in and their kids want to get college educations, some of them do, most of them do. And the like vast, like more than normal people, they don't want to go to jail. You don't want to get arrested. You just want the same job. You want a good job. You want to be in an industry that's industrious. I think this is a net good. I don't see it how it's kind of like replacing the world, right? Like if there's a Congress or a president, like your prime minister has their great replacement theory about mercantilism and shipping problems off to the world. I don't believe it. I don't see it yet. Yeah, Sophia, very, very sad. So a moment of respect or silence for Renee Good and Alex Preddy. I still want to see an investigation. I personally think that the ICE agents that shot them are probably partially victims of this administration as well. But if you broke a law and you murdered someone, that's also a crime. And so I think we can be both compassionate and honest there. Hey, Bob Meyer, good to see you. Yeah, so my belief, I think the United States and Canada are going to be doubling down in the Western Hemisphere coming up. And I believe Canada is going to want to be able to put pressure into the United States, tighten ties to the UK and China, and create a little distance from us. And I think that's actually what's going to happen. And so very expensive ideas. Not dinosaur philosophy, I don't think, but yeah, we see what Western values get, because even Western values have a GPS, right? Even Western values have a speedometer. So you can be the most conservative person on YouTube, most conservative person I've ever met, and you still have to tell me or guess where it is that American values start and stop. Why isn't it the case that we can't go do diplomacy in Argentina, Chile, Peru, Ecuador, wherever? Venezuela wasn't diplomacy. That was that was an illegal war, guys. Donald Trump is holding the president of Venezuela hostage in New York City. Maduro, that's what that is. That's a hostage. And so, saying I can issue a search warrant or, an arrest warrant for anyone I want, that's not a president. This is a bully. And he's speaking from the bully pulpit as well. Tyrone's talking about someone being violent. I don't know who that is. Yeah, kidnapping and hostage, but you think Americans are against immigrants? Yeah, David, I think we absolutely are. And hey, JD, good to see you as well. Detroit, good to see you guys again. Some of the regular guys that, whatever, if you guys subscribe, good to see you. Yeah, Americans have become, I think they're very pro law enforcement is a way to start that conversation. I think a lot of Americans think that when laws have been broken, you have to go enforce those laws. But in my view, you can think that every every person with dual citizenship or Mexican citizenship or wherever in the US is illegal and broke the law. But you're forgetting that we have laws in the United States to protect them too. You're forgetting that we like basically shipped in people from China to help build railroads and do other construction projects early in our history. You're forgetting that you would hire Native Americans to do this stuff, or and there are all these like weird sort of transactional ties that we had. And so when we ask why are there laws to protect immigrants in our country, why is there a whole body of literature about justice in the law, but also how these people will fit into the United States? It's because we've always had transactional sort of relationships with countries around the world and with peoples around the world. What we found in American history is that, John and Jane Doe off Main Street were always too busy. From the big city down to the rural areas, you were always too busy to actually care about illegal immigration. And so now what happens? People realize I can care about illegal immigration, and we get a horrible ICE program. I'm sorry to say it. Let's check the poll real quick. So far 190 of you guys have voted. And 37% said yes, they promote profiling. 58% said you guys are enforcing laws, so you guys like the law a little bit. And 6% says, honestly, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think you can make the case ICE supports the law, but then you also have to make the case that law also extends beyond that arrest. That law extends back into what happened leading up to the arrest, which is what a lot of people are protesting about. It also extends into what happens afterwards. Faraz is Iranian. Cool. I am an Iranian. What is your opinion of the? I'm very against the war in Iran. And yeah, I've worked with Iranian people before. I went to school with an Iranian dude, a Persian guy. We all laughed at him when we saw the 300. So there's that old movie with Gerard Butler, where it's the Persian Empire and Xerxes fighting against the Spartans. So we made fun of my Iranian friend at that time. And yeah, I think when we look at Iran has very high taxes, there are both good as very wasteful government programs and social programs in Iran. And I think the Iranian people can ask and demand democracy when they want to. I think it's incredibly sad that so many Iranian protesters are dying. But if you also look around the United States and you say, well, what are you going to do? Well, what would sort of the general will or general Iranian sort of population want? Do you want us to bomb you and possibly you end up going back to the straight, another form of theocracy, another form of autocratic social democracy, or the United States stays and says, look, we get it. We sort of get it a little bit now. We have some of the same problems with Donald Trump and our justice system now, shipping people on planes to random countries. It's so bad. It's so bad, And so looking in reality, I'm very against a war in Iran. I'm very against a war in Iran. I'm against violence in Iran. Yeah, and I think Iran is wrong to pursue nuclear weapons. I think Iran has energy crises, but also has trade crises. They also have like resource crises, from what I understand, like water crises. And so when we say like, well, Iran can't manage or solve their own problems, what are we going to do about this? I don't know. I actually don't know. And so I believe I believe in this case, the Don should not use any violence against Iran. And I believe that we should be able to put pressure when the Iranian regime behaves badly. We should put pressure on them when they violate civil rights of people. And we should also support the state of Iran solving their most crucial crises. And that's not that hard for people to get. Twist your little pea brain around that, folks. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Faraz has a different opinion, but I think that's the hard political answer. Is there's not any form of violence. There isn't any form of violence that is. There isn't any form of violence that would just magically make your problem go away. Where's your problem going to move to? Is it going to go someplace else now? Yes, it is. Same is true in the United States. If ICE was abolished tomorrow, you still have people who want to spend their time on xenophobic politics. Sorry, you still have people that want to focus on overly aggressive, monopolistic forms of law enforcement. I'm sorry, that is awful, dude. I'm never gonna endorse that. Sherry Ham says crude. JD Tux asked about China. Remix is asking about God. Yeah, if you believe in God, that's cool. I fake converted to evangelical Christianity. I was raised Catholic. I'm currently an atheist, secular atheist. I love Buddhism, love Eastern religions like a hippie. It's all about the flow. It's all about the Tao. But no, but yeah, I think it's cool. If you find peace reading the Bible, read your Bible. If you find peace talking to and living through the living God, I'm not joking. Do that. Do that. But if you're not making that moral, then my goodness, you're going to be out in left field. And like the true, like what people used to call Bible thumpers, like evangelical Christians, know that you can't actually lie to God. And this is in the same sense. Maybe you call me a nihilist because if I'm a scientist or something, I'll just tell you I don't know something. I'll just tell you guys I don't know something. I don't know. And so whatever. But yeah. But you don't know that either, right? If God's not giving you an answer as to what the world is like or what something is, and you're demanding you have an answer to it, and you're not finding it in your Bible or you're not finding it in a science textbook, well, congratulations. We're all the same. We're all in the same problem. When you guys finally wake up and realize the world is irrational, when the world is confusing, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not going to start a cult on that, but that's how I feel about it. Cool. Hey, we have an Iranian Buddhist in the chat. We have an Iranian Buddhist in the chat, so keep it down just a little bit. Don't tell everyone. Don't tell everyone. No one go tattletale that there's a Taoist or a Buddhist with a big mouth living in Iran. Nirvana or Alice in Chains? Nirvana. Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, the bands I like the bands that I like that a lot of people know are like I like My Chemical Romance. I like The Used. I liked Rise Against, Sum 41, like very pop punk stuff. I don't know if you guys remember. There's an old band from LA called Good Charlotte. Good Charlotte was funny too, but that all came from Nirvana. That all kind of came from that like new wave punk stuff in the UK, and then from like Seattle grunge, all that kind of stuff coming up. But when I wrestled, I used to wrestle, and my wrestling team listened to a bunch of like Alice in Chains, sort of that new metal, down tempo kind of style stuff. Crashing out. You're crashing out, Tyrone. You want to come hang out, bro? You want to hang out, mate? We can all crash out. Rhythm. What about Metallica? I don't know. What do you guys like for music? You guys like Metallica? What CD was it? I forgot. Was it they Metallica released a really big CD in the 2000s. It was when I was in high school. And I remember everyone was really excited about that. I make great decisions. I make the best decisions. One of the reasons I make good decisions, I think, is because I have a political science degree. So I understand science, and I also have a bias for very practical thinking, right? And so when there's like arguments in science and like people that run experiments are like bickering with you, I'm on that side. What was your beard decision? My beard decision was that I got a job and I had to cut my beard to not get fired. And so I actually had my first sort of full day today, and it was cool. I had a lot of anxiety. I don't know if you guys have that with jobs where you're at. I didn't used to. I don't mean to sound like a punk, because I have worked really hard. I've been very consistent. I've worked at the same company for like, in decent jobs for more than 2 years at a time. I know that's like a joke to some people, but the types of jobs I was doing was decent. And so, yeah, I guess you're Republican. No, I'm a progressive Democrat. I voted for Kamala and Ruben Gallego. I like those guys. But yeah, so I logged into my job a little bit today. I got about 2 hours of work done. and I was just like bouncing in my chair, a little anxious. So I went for a jog and did some pull-ups. I did some push-ups, and then got back to it, did a little more work. Zoran Mamdani, socialist decisions are very small. This is why I'm not a leftist. I'm not a leftist. I'm not a collectivist. Um, I love listening to AOC because she always tells the truth. So does Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders and AOC are both very honest politicians. Even when they're lying to you, they're being honest. But yeah, in terms of the federal government, democratic socialism usually takes a long time to. This is the optimistic. They're going to study you. They're going to study you. They're going to measure you. They're going to define you, and then they're going to offer a solution to some problem that you've been complaining about. You guys don't like groceries. You're going to complain about groceries on the news. All right, Mamdani's going to come build a government grocery store. He's going to help farmers, and he's going to help you. And that's the end of it. You get a government grocery store in New York City, straight from Champaign, Illinois, straight from the soybean capital of the world. You guys can all eat tofu. You guys can all that's cool. I love textbooks. I'm sorry. Yeah, you guys can all eat tofu in New York City. But that's why I'm not a leftist, though, is because it's like, okay, well, just have the same conversation 30 times with the grocery store executives. I know you think they don't solve problems for poor people. Walmart's always been racist against black people or whatever. That's why they open stores everywhere and they sell you the worst food possible. Well, go have the conversation another 30 times then. If you're so good at being insistent on this, be insistent and don't take away people's freedom to choose. No offense, but yeah, I'll support Zoran Mamdani if New York wants to try socialism. That's how nihilistic I am, is just try that then. Tell me how it works. Ice baby. Oh my God, what happened, guys? Yeah, man, we hit where I'm at, we hit 10 o'clock on the dot and the werewolves come out. My God, all of these ICE supporters. I'm asking you guys 40. So I just want to take a second for you guys to realize that 40% of you are saying ICE is racist. Maybe you guys disagree. Maybe some of the Ice baby folks disagree. But that's a lot of people that think a federal government administration is racist. This is like the opposite of Donald Trump's moment in the first place. You know, you see these videos of not just people getting shot, but you see citizens getting arrested because they have hijab. Not just because they have hijab, but because they have whatever it is, some BS. It's crazy, guys. And so 40% of you guys, I don't know if I think ICE itself is racist. I think the sum total of the process is pretty racist. I can't look past it. I ain't that soft. Dude. What about China? Tyrone, what about China? What about China? Be crazy. Have you guys seen some of China's very big cities that in some ways they got very wealthy? Like if you're the rest of the world, you think they look really wealthy, but then you go there and they have their own basic versions of like Section 8, right? They got their own like very tiny apartments and stuff like that. And so it's always amazing because we think like, oh, Donald Trump says China, you know, when I go look at China, it's like, I don't know what you're talking about, because I would probably believe that there's some mofo in the Chinese government who's like, yeah, we are some Section 8, Manchuria sort of, put bread on my plate kind of mofos, You can put me up in Detroit City. You can put me up in wherever it is. Whatever. Sorry to Detroit Spike if you're in the chat, or whatever. Satan does not love Karens. Satan agrees with the spirit of Karendom, but I don't think he agrees with the sort of lowbrow or easiness of Karenness. I think Satan would encourage Karens to go do better things. We got pretzels in the chat. What's up, Sherry Ham? What's up, Kenny? They could care less what people scream. They just know they're making mad overtime with no tax. No tax on tips. Yeah, restaurant workers. I don't know who you're talking about, but yeah, for people that are able to and willing and happy to work long hours, doing the same thing that they were doing before. Yeah, more power to you. More power to you. I remember when I was in college, because I was a hard worker. I would go to but I was a hard creative worker. I would usually go to the gym and go running for 10 hours a week. I was at school, woe was me, right? I was in school full time. Very lucky I got to do all this cool stuff. But I remember the weeks that I was scheduled for 40 or 50 hours. I remember making all the money. I remember having a completely full wallet of cash. I remember seeing like, oh, I usually have a few 20s in my wallet and then I'll go to the ATM. Yeah, welcome to like restaurant life. But then those weeks I would have like a stack of like 18, 19, 20, 40 20s, whatever it was. And so I remember that. I remember that vividly. And so I have mad respect for people that want to work their butts off. I also think that comes from a lot of our civilizational wealth. And so I don't get to tell you what to do with it. But sure as hell, I do have an opinion about it because I know that came from people I care about too. So, yeah, so Streamlabs has a beer. Streamlabs has a list of banned words. So if the main ones I care about are racial slurs. If people bring up like a racial issue, like great replacement theory, I don't like especially want to talk about that, but I mean, that's what we're the title of the stream too. So just common sense would dictate that if you say something on the edge, if you're like a groiper, maybe the bot will ban you. If I see it, I might ban you. If you're making chat uncomfortable, I might ban you. All my rules, guys, right? And then, but if you say something that we can have a conversation about, I would take that on too. Can you have a baby? I can produce a baby, I believe. I have half that. I have half the architecture for meiosis and cell divisions in the womb. Trump is indeed, yeah. But the craziest thing, my pro-life or pro-choice argument. My pro-life argument is don't have sex, right? That's my pro-life argument is don't have sex and have responsible sex. Know about contraception. My pro-choice argument. My pro-choice argument is that, yeah, you're not going to regulate a woman's metabolism and her neurophysiology, her brain health, and you're not going to regulate whether or not her heart starts working. There are hundreds of women who have died in Texas since the passing of the abortion ban, disproportionately Black. And so you can disagree that it's racist, but it's definitely anti-women. It maybe is a little bit, it ends up being racist. So congratulations. It's racist against Black women as well. Have you not done enough? What? Have you not done enough? I said, how do you get along with yourself? When do you look back at history and when did they look at this issue in the first place? It's just when, how? Please consider yourself. Thank you. Thank you. When snow melts, where does the white go? That's a great question. Back into the sun. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know that. This is a quick physics lesson. But if you see white snow, so photons from the sun also migrate. It's actually when you have these nuclear fission and fusion reactions, you see a mass release of these neutrinos, which come in different flavors. That's actually true. You have yellow snow. That's not a flavor. Don't eat the snow. But neutrinos do come in flavors. So look it up. Go look it up now, right? Go learn physics now. But photons have a migrational pattern like many birds. And so when the snow melts, the photons, they say bye to all their friends at summer camp and then flow back into the sun. And it's a closed system. So disparate impact is not racism. Hate to break it to you. Yeah, I don't know about that. Disparate impact, I absolutely agree. But I think if you're making it too granular in the United States and anywhere that I'm aware of laws, the spirit of the law is very clear. The spirit of the law is that rights are equal, and then your opportunity, secondly, is equal. And the third thing that is equal is your wealth. Your wealth is not that sacred. And this is partially why we see so many civil lawsuits. Because if you violate someone's rights or break a contract and there's like, their opportunity is somehow deprived that you had agreed to, there's nothing on the other side of the law that is protecting you having a bank account. You have a right to your property, but you don't have a right to just have a something, right? Elon Musk can't say, he can't pound his chest and cry to the Constitution and say, wow, 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 I want a space company. So there's laws on this sort of one side. And so when the reason I'm talking about this way is because racism is, I think it's very clear, is that if people's rights are deprived, even if their rights are more likely to be deprived, or their opportunities towards things are, there's usually like more fundamental or foundational reasons that are actually quite tangible. They're not made up. They flow from within, kind of like that feng shui. We have this feng shui systemic racism in the United States. Do you understand? Feng shui systemic racism in the United States. Make it a thing, guys. Make it a thing. Okay? That's what we do here now. That's our new thing. All right, agreed. That's why we were promised the pursuit of happiness, not happiness itself. Yeah, great point. Great point. Yeah. And, I think guys like John Locke would write about people like you in the state of nature. And he would say, kind of where John Locke's writing started and stopped is that, well, you're going to make these very rational decisions about stuff. Yeah. And that's it. And so he's telling you, what you're going to go do what you're going to do. You're not going to be that violent of a person, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Cool. Hey, Juan, you got to go. Hey, ho, Juan, you got to go. That's not a good Juan joke, first of all. Second of all, it's racist. I can't think, I'm not going to do Juan jokes because you're giving me racism. I believe there was a time in comedy and cultural history where some Juans might even think Juan jokes are funny, and so you still had to be tasteful, find the right room for it. But I saw Al Madrigal. Al Madrigal used to be very, very liberal comedian. He was on the Daily Report. I got to see him live, and he would tell, when he was in Arizona, because there were Mexicans in the audience, so he would tell some Mexican jokes, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I don't think it's the right time for it because there's people named Juan with, with parents with cancer, kids with autism, and yeah, a family that are getting deported. And so it's in incredibly bad taste. Tom, I can't find the comedy. Tom, it's racist, all kinds of stuff. Thank you, Tom. Leviathan is Hobbes. Yeah, Leviathan is Hobbes. Natural Law is Locke. Those are the two of the earliest. I forgot my more granular political theory. I took a bunch of classes on American political thought back in the day. I like that stuff. It's fun. I was reading Thoreau's Civil Disobedience. That's a crazy one. Civil Disobedience is wild. If you guys understand it, you're beyond me. It's actually a very complicated essay. It's very short. You can technically read it in like 20 minutes, less than that, maybe 10 minutes. But it's still a very complicated picture of the world. It's not meant to be, but it is. Well, quantum detection, yeah, quantum detection is viable now because we predict things. This is basically how experimental physics works, is you have a theory that can make a prediction. And so it's kind of like, this is the example I used the other day, is if I told you, you and I, we go to a mattress shop, or maybe we go to like a Ferrari dealership, and I tell you that on, this very small subsection of couch or something like that, I tell you that like on the third mattress from the back on, 6 inches in and 6 inches up, so a very specific portion of this mattress, we're going to find a gold fiber. You would say, I'll bet you $1 million or $10 billion that doesn't happen. It seems completely impossible. And yet that's what science does. You predict these subatomic events. And so quantum detection isn't detecting point objects. We're not actually measuring a particle, but you measure the interaction that particles have to have. And those are predicted beforehand. And so a lot to say, but it's kind of like saying, well, if you have a blindfold on and you bite a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and you taste jelly and peanut butter, you ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And that's how we actually detect particles is, yeah. There's other crazy stuff. Someone will dispute this and say, well, we image photons and there's more that we do, but you guys can talk about that then. I'm not that smart, so. Yeah, at the Ferrari dealership, you say that you have to say that you found Epstein semen on the steering wheel or something. I bet you dollars to donuts, right? The F430. It's always the F-430 with these guys. It's always the F-55. I'm going to find Epstein's semen, bottom left, passenger side rear. Yeah, it's a little splotch of Epstein and a little splotch of Trump. Maybe a little Bill. I support America not being, you support America hopefully not being fascist. Yeah, I hate that our government's threatening violence to Americans and people around the world right now. I really do. I really do, guys. Yeah. But are there quantum states of energy? Yeah, there are quantum states. There's quantum states in like the universe right outside our front door, right? So a lot of quantum states are these very ordinary things, like you see light reflecting off of a lamppost or something like that. That electron is technically in a quantum state. But then there's also, you can technically say quantum state, and you're also referring to like a very theoretical, experimental sense of things. Yeah, and so it's one of those things you can learn about it endlessly, and you might say it's an illusion too. You can argue that quantum states, either they're not metaphysics, they don't really exist. There's just in the same way that I very simply and without much stress can see my eyeglasses here. I have my very cool sunglasses, chat. Everyone, not just chat generally, but to the 83 people watching, thank you, by the way. If you take a second to like and subscribe, I also appreciate that, chat. But yeah, you can say quantum particles exist in the same simple sense I have eyeglasses. You can also say that, well, it's just an arbitrary way to define things, either because of God or because there's informational physics that are actually operating, cosmological or fundamental physics. Both work. If you're a physicist in the chat, I'm so sorry for whatever I just said. I don't know. I try. I really do try. I try. Yeah, and so that's one of those endless discussion, guys. No problems with it, right? No problems. Is Trump the worst president or the worst scammer? Trump is the most consistent president. Donald Trump since the 1990s has been saying the same thing. You can go back to old like trade night dinners and stuff Trump did, and he was always saying, oh, like very softly and casually, like you're a baby. Oh, America gets ripped off and we can be stronger, and we can return America to our former glory. Whatever. Just for the folks in the crowd, I will do the job for you. This is what racist people always say, is that racist people always say, we're going to return America to its former glory. When was this? When was this? Was I sleeping? I don't know about you guys, but when I'm a billionaire born with a golden spoon in my mouth, and this is not that complicated. I know you work hard. But you get to go home to a car with like 10 garages. Your house has more than one garage. I don't have more than one house. I got fucking Section 8, bitch. No, but even if you're not, right? Okay? Like, we're going to return America to its former glory. When was this? We've always been fighting wars. We've always been wasting taxpayer money. People can't get health care. This is the crazy part of some of this stuff. No, but I believe it. I believe Donald Trump loves America and loved Americans and wanted to see a just outcome for people. But if you just want that outcome, that's not justice, Donald. Redefine the word. You need justice. It's not just is, right? There's no such thing as an is. Come on, guys. It is very creepy. It's very creepy. It's worth it, though. It's one of those things that's worth it. Try it out. No, I'm not your mom. I'm not your dad. I'm not your little sister. Not your little brother. Not your big brother. But try it out. Donald Trump is a creepy guy. He is absolutely... he was so willing to learn how to tell people that he cared about them. So I don't know. That doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you inept. But it does make you, it's starting a relationship with the country off on a wrong foot. And so if you're the president and you're kind of like the creepy boyfriend, if you're the president and you're like, hey, I just met you and this is crazy, but let's spin up that old coal plant again. Let's spin up a Let's spin up the greatest steel industry the United States has ever known. Me and my buddy JD. If you do that, that makes you a creepy dude, guys. Biden is a zombie. I love Joe Biden. President Joe is my president. President Don is also my president. President Joe is my president, sir. President Don, my president, sir. And one's policies I support, one I will not. One I would be a conscientious objector to. One I would quit that fucking administration. I wouldn't want to be in that administration for a second. Zero desire I would have to do that. Greenland, whoa. Drill, baby, drill. Hold on, let me catch up on this because somebody's bringing up Greenland, so I just want to see some of this. Hey, Bob, good to see you. You guys are walking over Bob here. Come on, chat. Scroll up. Bob says this. Here, I'm going to pin this because you guys just rolled over Bob. The only person saying a reasonable thing in chat. When I was a kid, I remember patriotism was common, racism was rare, and anyone that disrespected the stars and stripes got dealt with harshly. Yeah, I had a different upbringing. In high school, I sat for about, was it a year or 6 months? I ended up being a poli-sci major, so I spent my entire life then studying government and how to make the U.S. successful. But I sat for the flag during my calc class in high school. I was a smarty pants. And I sat because I was disagreeing with the Iraq War at that time. And so I'm sorry, Bob, if you think people got dealt with harshly, but let's talk about patriotism again. Let's talk about common sense. Let's talk about the actual story of racism that we agree on. Most people agree Dr. King was one of the parts of the solutions. Most people agree that it wasn't just Dr. King. It was also the white folk who would travel from Boise, Idaho to go to Washington, D.C. and march. It was also the people who didn't have a choice but to march, right? And so without sort of saying that Western values solved Western values and what was left at the end of it, I think we could have more to talk about, guys. That's Bob for you guys. That's Bob Smith. I don't agree at all with that aspect of posturing violence, saying that we should deal with someone harshly. I'll deal with that comment harshly like that. That's the best way I'd know how, sir. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your opinions and beliefs with us. Politics is not the correct grammar. It's politics are, it's plural. Politics is. So politics, the idea is, or the school, the maybe like a family of theories. Is there a domain of constructed politics in society or something? That's hard. I like it. I agree. That's a good critique. I will go detangle and sift through that one later on, folks. Later on, everybody. If what the symbols represent become worthless, the symbols become worthless? Yeah. I always thought it was funny in my Catholic church growing up that we had, $600, pure gold crosses and crucifixes in our gift shop. That's how Catholic I was I thought that God would dislike that. And I'm pretty sure he would. But that's a very strange symbol to me. I see my name. Oh, it's John Mondragon, guys. Oh my gosh. Hey, John, what's up? Good to see you. You keep challenging me, but you never want to do it. I will do more debates some other time. Right now it's Friday. I'm just kind of hanging out, to be honest. But good to see you. But yeah, I remember really not liking the gaudiness of religion and religious symbols back in the day. But I think it's true as well. I think when there's been Democrats unwilling to vote against violence, I think when there's been Republicans who vote for the excitement of violence in our military, these are all reasons that they're disrespecting a symbol like a donkey or an elephant or whatever it is. Because there are actual donkeys and elephants in the world too. And so if you're not even going to copy an animal effigy or something like that, you're not even going to copy a person. And what is the point of it then, right? I don't get it. Chat, I don't get it, guys. Come on. Let me get some upvotes and likes, guys. Oh, MAGA. Hey, what's up, guys? I'll give them. I think you guys are going to like this poll result. I don't know why, because it's dark days. It's dark days for our country. Even if you support ICE, you can say that, well, there's some problem going on. Even if maybe you know what it is and you can tell me. I don't think it's the Democrats, but if you know what it is, you can tell me. And so 38% say that ICE promotes profiling. I hope you guys aren't right. I could argue against you a little bit. I do think ICE is doing things that is targeting brown and black people a little bit more than that. Just that they arrested a bunch of Korean dudes at a car factory. And so let's talk about all of it. Yeah, and 57% said they are enforcing laws. And yeah, that's what an arrest is. And I'm not honestly sure is 6%. I think you guys are pushing your belief in law enforcement. I think you're borrowing too much from Trump's platform. Trump can't tell you what law enforcement is. He can't tell you what the Constitution is. And he can't tell you how law enforcement officials in local government actually measure the success of their programs and whether or not it's a just organization. If it's an unjust organization or if it's ineffective, if it's violating people's civil rights, those are all reasons to not support ICE. Mussolini. Yeah, Mussolini had the black shirts, so also a very crazy organization. Another one where Mussolini loved Italy, he loved Italians, and he took a different tact. So what Mussolini did is he said, you should be afraid of the rest of the world, and you should be afraid of yourself if you don't support Italy. You should be afraid of yourself, was Mussolini's sort of core argument. Yeah. He says, where do you end up as a person, as an individual? Where do you end up if you don't support the Italian state? If you don't support your mother country, your motherland? And where you would end up for Mussolini is basically being a selfish biatch or whatever. And yeah, and so very, very, it's very ideological, but there are aspects of the doctrine of fascism which are well written and worth considering in terms of the idea itself. But yeah, but when you actually read it and say, well, this is what he's saying the world is like in his metaphysics, it's completely useless. And so Donald Trump says, well, where do you end up? You end up what? You end up with green hair as a hippie in a trans dance club, or crying outside of a gay club where there's just a mass shooting. And a lot of Democrats will say either, okay, yes, sure, and it's not your job as the federal government to tell me that, or they'll say, okay, sure, but not really. I know a lot of different people, IRL or wherever, that aren't like that. So, someone says Trump is ill as F. Trump is ill as F. Maybe a conversation, John, if, maybe later if I go to Breakfast Tacos channel, you can come up and debate me or one of the other atheist guys on channel. You can bring old Catholic stuff or Orthodox stuff. We can have a discussion about logic and what we want to talk about, but not here, not right now. Thank you. Frankly, Mussolini was a nut job. Yeah. Vote for deportation? I wouldn't vote for deportation. I don't want to do that. Jesus for Israel. Fred is a loser. How do you support a dual party government? I don't know, guys. Let's see. Civil society private interest says, I hope Dems will get rid of Chuck Schumer. They get someone who will not be a Democrat in name only. Yeah. The machinations, that reminds me, maybe this is where my brain is at, but that reminds me of Thoreau's description of government. This is sort of how political theory works a little bit. I'll pin up civil society's comment. Yeah, but Henry David Thoreau said that, well, the majority always votes for an expedient form of government. And it's also a expedient, meaning it solves a problem, it gets something done, accomplishes something, achieves something. It's an expedient in as much as this form of government is, it's decided by the majority, but it's not doing that much, right? You basically say, well, this is what government is, and you can picture people like, who knows, like maybe it's like a big like like hamster cage, and there's all these things you don't understand. Why are all these hamsters doing these useless, pointless things? No offense to the hamsters, obviously, but this is what Thoreau tells us government is like. Is this expedient? And so it just reminds me of that, because criticism of Schumer and some Democrats is that, well, they don't actually fight for progressive rights. They're supporting a democratic machine. But now you look at Republicans who are supporting Trump's machine, and this is supposed to morph into something else. Okay, not how and when, but actually how and when and what, and so it doesn't make sense. Are you Canadian? I am not Canadian. I'm a Phoenician. I'm in Phoenix. Yeah, I'm gonna start winding the stream down now, I think, guys. I had a lot of fun. My brain is getting a little tired. And yeah, I appreciate, we had a big chat today. So for regular people, thank you guys. If you guys are hanging out, good to see you. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. It was fun to hang out, and I hope to do it again. Not all our streams have 60 people, but so do like and subscribe if you want. I'll bother you guys in the shorts feed and stuff like that too. But yeah, we typically, I do politics. I will do debates or something at some point in like history here. And then, yeah, I cover like political science stuff sometimes. We can do philosophy, religion stuff too. That's me selling. If I can sell you, I'll do a sales guy thing and promote my channel a little bit. Those are sort of the main things. Is I like reading your guys' comments. Like those longer form conversations are fun for me. And yeah, trying to be a little bit inclusive, guys. So thank you for being somewhat polite. Let's see, Eric, I have all of your chat messages here. Muslims must go socialism. Muslims must go. Socialism is bad, and anyone can get healthcare in America. You sniffling blow? So Eric, just zooming out, you ask if I'm a drug addict or doing drugs, and then you want to know about Muslim socialism. So are we talking about like what's it called, like Baathism? Or we're talking about Muslims in the United States? Muslims have a place in the United States. You can get a passport and travel here. You can, if you're a Muslim in the US, you don't need a passport. You can go to all 50. We're a big free trade zone. That means you can go anywhere. You can go to mosque. You can not go to mosque. You can go do Islamic studies at college. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be a Muslim to do any of those things. I don't believe that there's a mosque in the United States that would kick someone out for being interested in what happens at a mosque. Yeah, and I told people earlier, Eric, as well, you missed that part. I told people I'm not a democratic socialist. I don't consider myself a leftist, even though I support people like Zoran Mamdani. I love listening to AOC. I'll tell you the same thing every single time until if you ask a better question, I'll tell you the next thing I would tell you there. But Eric, that's my own problem. That's my own problem, is that I don't understand what you mean saying you want Muslims out of the country. If you guys want to take a look at this, I don't know. I actually can't find Mr. Eric from there. But yeah, Eric, I see all your messages here. I wish I could talk to you and say something else. Guess you're Republican. Yeah, I have some conservative leanings. Any Muslims in politics? No, I believe in pluralism. Pluralism is like a big school of ideas. And so I can believe in both conservatism and pluralism. Go win your fight about taxes. Go win your fight about history, right? Go actually be that person, you know? Yeah, your messages were funny. They're good questions, actually, but they need to be refined a little bit, right? It's like, well, when you're asking it and when you slow down and ask the same thing, but just slightly over a little bit, they're good questions, Eric, but people are going to think that you're a little racist or Islamophobic, to be honest. My own belief is that, yeah, pluralism is fine. You're allowed. I don't think that it is very fruitful or useful. You're not going to get very far if you argue for Sharia law in the United States. There is no Sharia law in Texas. Let's clear this up. Christians have private arbitration. So there is theocratic arbitration, theocratic law in Texas? Yes. By that same token, there is Sharia law in Texas, but then there is theocratic Christian law in Texas. There is not Sharia law in the United States, and you're an idiot if you campaign for public office for Sharia law, and you're an idiot if you're a politician and you don't understand that most conversations around Western values and Islamic or Arab values are around integration. A lot of times it's people who just moved here, right? You can be in Section 8 because you're poor and your family's been in America and been poor for 200 years, or you can be in Section 8 because you're poor and you just migrated from Sudan. You're a refugee. Both live in Section 8 housing, right? And so when we say that some people don't understand law in the US, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, so lots of stuff, right? My brain's kind of capped on that, but I'm zooming down on messages. Fraud, sales and abuse, fraud. Fred is still not understanding anything. All right, guys. And then what else? Yeah. Repelling Islam from the US is so necessary. People are not aware of it, including yourself. To ever feel socialism could be an idea. Give one example of socialism. Repealing Islam from the US is so necessary. Yeah, I don't believe that's the case. Because, and this is why people say religion is good in the United States, or why like we have an institution of churches. Even if you disagree, I'm an atheist and I can say this. I'm allowed to. Is that, yeah, if you open a mosque and maybe you are a highly educated imam or something like this, you still have to go get zoned and get your permit. You still have to file a business entity. So you still have to file to be a tax-exempt church. So all these are reasons why, like, okay, so how is a person the head of a church and they don't know anything about the United States? Well, by definition, if you have a church in the United States, you know something about the United States. That doesn't make you an expert. It doesn't make you, perhaps in some cases, not a bigot. It doesn't make you educated, but it's a way to integrate the country. So what about Hitler, guys? Mustache Man, he was a real jerk. I'll tell you that. Is Benjamin here? Ben Netanyahu, one of the cool guys that subscribes to the channel, was bugging me in chat. I miss him. He was bugging me. He was not bugging, but he was on the short, so I was seeing if he was here tonight. It's something I wanted to argue with him about. I understand visas. I'm just not a racist Trump supporting loser. That's very clearly stated. Very clearly stated. That guy looks like you look like, what's his name? You look like Pisco a little bit. Another effing idiot. Hey McDan, good to see you. I'm gonna take a blinker, guys. I already told you I'm not a leftist. Cannibal Joker. Why don't we put a smile on that face? No. Yeah, what religion do you want to talk about? We can talk about my favorite verse this week. I'll do one Bible verse a week. I'm doing Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 17 through 18. And the basic idea of this verse is that a king comes and he tells you, a wise person comes and tells you, someone who knows everything a society can know, the top of civilization. And he tells you, well, he tells what he says in his words. These are his words to you. He says, well, I've come to know wisdom quite a bit. And I know I actually have a lot of wisdom, more than you would think. And the wiser I get, the more problem. It doesn't seem to solve anything. There's more madness that's brought to me. The world doesn't get more even. And so this comes back around to this person telling you to believe in God, whatever God he wants you to believe in. So is it controlling? Well, it's also, if you take him in good faith, and we just say this is a honest person telling you this in Ecclesiastes, he's telling you that, well, wisdom itself is not always the problem in a society or in a civilization. And so why is that? Well, political science would say it's because societies don't operate linearly, or they operate on such long time periods that things that you think make sense don't actually make sense. But in biblical terms, it's just weird because our values are usually so more fine-grained and fine-tuned than we think. If you're like really deeply Christian, you might say, well, the way that God created the world operates in such a mysterious way, but it's mysterious in a way that's full of goodness. And so it's usually fine, but you're not always going to get, even when you believe God or the world has revealed things to you, when you've worked hard and studied them and things have been revealed, the universe isn't going to work that well. And so I think there are both political Christian interpretations, but this is also not Christian nationalism. This isn't like mainstream doctrinal Christianity, right? And so you guys can go to your favorite Christian tubers. They'll tell you, I'm completely wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. And when you go to a politics channel, they will call you a dipshit because you don't know what you're talking about. No offense. But Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 17 through 18, interesting verse, beautiful, kind of a beautiful idea to explore. The exploration is where we're at. It's how we get the exciting stuff. It is the good part of it. And so abortion, if you want to talk about abortion, yeah, you're not going to control a lady part's metabolism, her brain chemistry. And not just that, but we've had very learned men, very wise men on the Supreme Court making law. They've made law. Okay. And so when we say, well, the Roe versus Wade decision was good, Dobbs versus Jackson is whack, it's not good law, there's a reason people say that. Roe versus Wade said viability is not really, technically it's here and it's not really a question for the government. It said all these things and those are all true. So, who knows, whatever you think it is. I lied to you guys. I tried to trick you because I don't want you making laws that if you guys have sons or daughters in chat, I don't want you guys making laws that are going to put your daughters' lives at risk. Period. You guys have these pro-choice laws. The laws themselves have killed women. And you can say, I'm fine with it because we're saving babies' lives. Well, that's your choice. That's not politics. I see the Bussy chat is going up, guys. Bussy memes in chat are going up. Yeah, 1 million people died in the United States. Get that through your head. 1 million people died from the COVID vaccine, from the COVID thing, from not taking vaccines, from the COVID vaccine conversation. 1 million people died. How many people died in the United States that did not have to because of irrational fear about vaccines, about basically a dead synthesized virus going exactly where it always goes, like literally every second of every day in your body. But instead of just doing what your body does every second of every day, a vaccine gives you the one that you actually need that second in order to not kill 1 million people because you're basically a walking nuclear bomb. A walking nuclear bomb for just people. And so, yeah, how long of RFK and Donald Trump do we need before we're dealing with polio again, or what? Is that actually a rational fear? Why is that not an irrational fear? Bro, in the CIA confirmed. Kill confirmed. Kill confirmed. All right. Yeah, I think if you're in the CIA, technically, there's an old joke. This is an old CIA joke. So this guy named Zed goes to this guy named Ricketts, and Zed says to Ricketts, he says, hey, he says, when I was in the agency, they told me, every spy is technically a double agent. And Ricketts goes, Zed, why is that? And Zed goes, yeah, because you have to work for the US. And then when China's big enough, you have to work for them too. Isn't that how that always works? If that's your job? And Ricketts goes, Zed, fuck you. Yeah, so that's how the joke goes. Seabirch says Biden deported. I'm sorry. Seabirch is saying Biden deported more than Trump. Cool. Sick. All right. Are you still getting the vaccine? I got my 2 COVID shots. Yeah, I have parents. Not that it's anyone's business, but I have parents with chronic health conditions. So you guys know things like heart disease, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, even something like obesity. These are all reasons that someone, it can be like, what's it called? Like MS, multiple sclerosis is another condition that weakens the immune system. So I got both my vaccine shots, you know, and yeah, I think part of it is that there is that epidemiological portion where you just transmit disease to people close to you. And there's also the portion where it's like, yeah, my neighbors might have a sick parent or something. There might be some other immunocompromised person who, yeah, whatever they have, who knows? I don't know. They have celiac disease and like a couple times a year they get sick and have a weak immune system. I don't know. Hey, thanks. You're a cutie too. 2P 1776. Get up here. Let me see that PFP. Is that a moth or is that an owl? That looks like a Harry Potter beast. Some mix between our world and the other world. 2P 1776. You're a cutie if I've ever seen one. Wow. Both a vegan and very American. So wink, wink. I love it. Yeah, you're a liar. So you don't actually have a practical answer. Oh, you guys are just debating, you guys. Hey, what's up, Divine? 7777777777777. Good to see you. Obama and Biden deported many people, but in a failed attempt to secure citizenship for dreamers because you sick Fs would deport someone to a place they've never been. Yeah, very unjust. That's a very cruel way to treat somebody. Very cruel way to treat a person. Yeah, it's, I think it is, what is the word for it? It is one of those unforgivable things that I believe a snap judgment would determine. Like, right, that's saying I don't understand the difference. Like, this is me. This is my shirt. It's on my body. This is my neck. You guys want to take a look at my neck? Am I thick enough, boy? How thick am I? You tell me if I'm thick. But this is my shirt. This is me, and that's you, right? And so what I don't do is no part of me is going to go put you on an airplane and ship you to some place I've never been to, right? The extent of this discussion is, well, if you came here illegally, don't hide your identity. Tell us who you are. And in exchange for that, you get to talk to a lawyer and make the best case possible for why you should stay in our country, what law allows you to stay in our country. And there are many laws because we believe in that as Americans. So because we believe in not just these small things, but this bigger idea that you deserve to be here, and the even bigger idea that there's a definition of what that actually is. There is a definition of every single aspect of who you are from the time you get your first paycheck, your first illegal paycheck, to your first legal paycheck, to your first legal lawyer meeting, to your first that never happens, and hopefully it doesn't. My own personal hope for you. There are big reasons all of this stuff is complete. There are big reasons why these are closed loops, why you can monitor them, measure them, and you do get to yell at people like Biden, Obama, and Trump. Trump is not immune from getting yelled at for behaving badly and breaking the system that works and shipping people, deporting them to places that they've never been, or deporting someone back to a worse situation. That's just messed up. It's just messed up. It creates a worse situation. I think not just in the immigrant community, but for American citizens, there are tens of thousands of undocumented cases of civil rights abuses in the US today. And there are tens of thousands of civil rights abuses which originated on January 20th, 2025, last year. Because that's not the law, Eric. I hate to break it to you, dude, but that is just not what the law is about. Why would you in 1776 have a belief about what somebody is doing right? And why would that belief still make sense in 2026 when you have, right? You can log onto your smartphone and you can get pinged through 30 different IP addresses. You can get pinged through 30 different data centers around the world. And so what is it exactly that makes someone right to be somewhere? You're allowed to say that. Holy crap, Donald Trump doesn't decide what you get to believe. You can say, I think this is way crazier and I just don't care. Or you can say you care a lot. Whatever. There's people that want to lock up Somalians in our country indefinitely. That is psychopathic. It is not psychopathic to say, well, we live in a globalized world where technology connects us, and I have no idea what you're talking about. When you mention immigration, when you mention like a W-2 in work, like I know what those things are going to be and I have to pay my taxes, but I have no idea why they're important. I know they're important in as much as I do them, and it's illegal if I don't. But other than that, you're not bringing me something I have to consider. Lock him up, felon Trump. Lock him up. Donald Trump will resign. JD Vance will resign. Kristi Noem will resign. We'll have Tom Homan resign. These guys, I feel bad for the problems they created, but they created them. They did not apologize for them. And they seem to be thinking that a small amount of pity for themselves, self-pity, will somehow result in people supporting and getting a different result than what people said the result was going to be. But if you make a bad plan, right? If you're in Los Angeles and you say, I want to go to Las Vegas, and you start driving west, you end up in the ocean, you end up underwater. If you are in Los Angeles and you say, I want to go to Vegas, and you start driving like northeast, you get to Las Vegas. And so these guys told us we're going to go to Vegas. We're going to have a little party. We're going to figure out some historical period in American history based on the future, based on what's possible. We're going to have a dance party in outer space. We're going to do it, guys. We're going to have so much fun up here. We're going to have the dance party in outer space playbook. We're going to run this one. And it was completely wrong. It was made up. It wasn't about being in government. These guys lied to you. Hate to break it to you. Hey, cool, Bible Wichapas. No, I'm not. No, I am not. I've been to Vegas, though. I've been to, I saw Jason Alexander in Vegas. I went to a bachelor party in Vegas. That was kind of nuts. Not too nuts. Wasn't Christian. We gambled, we drank, but that was fun. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Vegas is cool. You guys are like Arizona. You have a crazy housing market. A lot of people lost all their money during the 2008 crisis in the U.S. housing crisis in 2008. A lot of people lost their homes and they lost all their money. Very sad stuff. People that had actually worked their whole lives, been miserable at work their whole lives, lost their homes. And so it sucks for them. Very stupid thing for us to have done. But yeah, Vegas and Arizona both had this huge housing crisis. Yeah, very sad, very depressing, very anxious, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Vegas is an absolute deception, man. Christopher, you're tripping me out, bud. Christopher, bud. Somebody get Christopher in check, man. Get up here, dude. Tap me on the shoulder and tell me I'm okay, dude. You're tripping me out, man. I'm dizzy. Come on, bud. Oh, somebody ban Christopher, man. He's just saying, dude. I said, bud, get up here, man. I need your help about this here. Come on, man. Bud, Christopher, man. Okay, what a pal. You know, I tell him I'm tripping out. I'm telling him I'm dizzy. I tell him I can't think straight. And he just goes, dude, you're making it worse, man. I don't know if you meant to, but it's kind of what it seems like at this point, man. Thank you, everyone in chat. Everyone who's been engaging in what's called good faith conversation or just trying to hang out, not be rude, not make threats toward people. That's progress. It's progress to have discussions. Yeah, I am very stupid. So thank you, everyone. Dude. Now, John Mondragon's creeping me out now, too? No, you're not, man. Christopher and John, guys. Oh, my God. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, guys, what happened? We have 40 people in chat. Thank you, guys. Let's have some fun. Let's do something cool together. Let's have fun together, guys, for the art. Let's do it. I love it. Positive attitudes, positive conversation. You guys can't leave the Duxy channel knowing less than you knew the day before. Even if this ugly mug is the one to do it, I appreciate all you guys so much. I appreciate all the folks here. Old people, young people. We used to have a bunch of old people on the channel. I'm 36. I'm old in a lot of the channels I hang out on too. So I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate young folks too. Shout out to you guys. Yeah, with MAGA conversations, you know, I love talking to when the excitement dies down and after we kind of get our jitters out. You know, some of the ex-military guys, some of the vets are fun to talk to. You can have interesting conversations if you're both willing to sort of step into a space and understand where each other's are coming from. And if you're not demanding of someone else, they recognize your beliefs. They'll usually want to recognize what it is you believe when it's time to do that, right? And so veterans, even if they're MAGA folks, you know, have been fun to talk to for me. I know a couple online. And yeah, I also believe folks from the religious faith traditions, if you're not doing like the Christian nationalism thing, you can support Donald Trump and we can talk about morality, your ethics, my ethics, my sense of justice in society, and what you think about all that. And we can also have a productive conversation. But yeah, in terms of straw man, red herring, bad faith, in terms of, you know, I think making demons and victims out of people who are totally irrelevant, it's absolutely nuts, dude. Absolutely crazy to me. It's absolutely wild. I'm not always going to ever understand any of it. Yeah, that's cool. Steven sounds like a philosopher. Production? Production. Yeah. Production's always a weird topic because like secondary, it's an economics, it's a political economy and an economics topic. And so when people talk about production and you just don't mean anything by it, it's always hard for me because it's like, yeah, I know what primary, secondary, tertiary production is. I could probably like, you know, when someone says service economies basically can create credit really quickly, maybe slightly faster, or you have, you know, maybe some more made up stuff, but more tools, maybe more data too. And so all kinds of information and economic stuff. But production is also about society a little bit, you know, when you are an agrarian society, you have farm production. So all kinds of cool stuff. Hey, Sean Willis, cheers to Alaska. Hopefully you guys are having a good winter and everything up there. Yeah, Alaska is always so beautiful when I see videos and documentaries of Alaska. I'm in Arizona, so we have hot summers. We got some beautiful places, but yeah, also we've got a rainforest in southern Arizona. That's pretty cool. Got a bunch of cool, beautiful areas here too. So hope everything is good for you guys. Yeah. What else do I know? Yeah, I know there was this documentary called Nailin' Palin that came out of Alaska. And so I haven't seen that one, but I heard it's pretty good. Yeah, I heard about that one. Justice, folks. Justice. The only word I'm going to beat into everybody's head here. Yeah. I'm going to beat this into your head if it's the last thing I do. All the little schoolboys and schoolgirls in my chat, and it is my chat, say the word Justice. 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 It is not just us who says justice. It is 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 Justice. All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Justice. Say the word. It is philosophy. It ain't nothing else. It is just a philosophy. And so don't say it like you know it if you don't actually know it. Thank you. Justice. Republic, Fuchs, coward, hate trans, but secretly gay. All right, guys. I need you guys to run. I think I need you guys to run an etymology on this. Whoops. All right, I just pinned up a message. I think this is saying something a little deeper. It says Republic fucks are cowards. They hate trans but are secretly gay themselves. Yeah. And so self-loathing. So this is the expression of true identity, replacing our persona with hatred because there is self-loathing in that true identity. Yeah. And I think it's cool. Like, obviously, we shouldn't out, even if someone is a hateful bigot outwardly, we shouldn't out that person. I wouldn't go up to you and say, hey, I think you're like, you shouldn't speculate about someone's sexuality. I unpinned the message, but that made me laugh a little bit. A little Friday funnies, guys. Yeah, and being a coward, being able to do you got to be able to do the hard thing, brother, sister. You got to be able to do the hard thing, even when it's the unpopular thing. And you know, when you say unpopular, that it's going to come back. It's only going to get harder. It's only going to get more brutal. You're going to see the worst side of people, but you still have to be willing to do the hard thing. And sometimes the hard thing just makes you a dipshit. It isn't actually right. It is hard, but you are just a dipshit. Someone get Tulsi Gabbard on the line. I want it. Bigot. I'm not a bigot. I don't think I'm a bigot. I hope I'm not. You can tell me if I am, but I don't think so. I don't think so. We are talking about, let's do a check on the poll. Yeah, so 40% of the country is planning 2026 for the Dems. Maybe more. Yeah, you guys are all hopefully going to vote Democrat in 2026. We talked a little bit about racism and the history of racism. We talked about immigration, debated a bit, talked a little bit about Islam in the US, all kinds of cool topics. Yeah, Eric, I don't know if Eric's still here, but civil society has been bringing up some very erudite, educated points. Eric Neff has been asking some really good questions too. In Lacanian psychoanalysis, repulsion is generally correlated with a desire that is too outwardly real. Wow. That's a slap in the face in Lacan language, isn't it? Yeah, I know that. I know Lacan, man. You can be tough as a box of nails and still know Lacan, I think. Not really, but yeah. Tell him to say it. Tell him to say it, you know? Repulsion. Yeah. Okay. So, a desire that is too outwardly real. Yeah, I would spend too much time on YouTube thinking about what that actually means. No problem. Yeah, psychoanalysis. Yeah, this comes from like Carl Jung, Freud. I think you could consider psychoanalytic, but they're these sort of psychology views. It's a way to sort of rationalize psychology and our psychology into being about philosophy. And so when you say, well, how the mind actually works, how our perception works, how our beliefs work, and where those come from, when those are about what reality is, then that is what philosophy is. It's sort of one way to say it. Oh God, another guy, Trump brain. I don't know what that means. We got more. Yeah, make America great again. I don't think America's getting better. Donald Trump is not supporting rural America. Donald Trump hops on a plane to Iowa and says, you guys are tough enough that I'll get to you guys when I get to you, brother. This is Donald Trump's strategy. He talks to you like he's playing, like he's Chris Pratt playing a fake Navy SEAL in a movie. He says, get over here, guys. Why don't you guys tell me what we can actually solution together, and I'll introduce you to the best people I know. And he means it. That's the funny part of it. If you have something specific or general you want to discuss, now's the time that we've earmarked for us to do that, and we can move forward with this. Donald Trump doesn't care about rural America. He spent his entire life in the Northeast. He spent his entire life buying and selling $100 million buildings. And as president, he said, I can ship these people the shittiest newspapers in the world. I'll tell people to go build free websites on Wix and go talk to these voters. Go talk to these voters, and they're going to hear the best story ever, and they'll be smart when they need to be. That's like Hitler. So love and peace, love and peace. Mike Curley, I hope you guys don't use Breitbart. I hope you guys don't use these far-right news outlets. It's all made-up shill news. And the hard part is I don't really care if you want to listen to that or not. If you don't use the news that often and you do what's fun for you, you do what's expedient, convenient, understandable, well, cool. All right, me too in 90% of my life. So whatever, we can go fuck ourselves together, but you guys are getting lied to, and you're also part of at the end of the day, you're part of the people that are leading our country downhill. You're the ones who are asking for a global war, not a small war, not an illegal war in Venezuela, but you're the one who's asking for a global war. If you read Breitbart, if you listen to these far right-wing podcasters, you're part of this problem. Hate to break it to you. At this point in time, you don't have some lie about Kamala Jew Harris to come save you. Kamala Harris would have been a great candidate. There's no amount of racialized, otherizing, and inaccurate information about this person that's going to change what the world is like. Oh, Chicken Little and the sky is falling. Well, it is the first time, my friend, you've seen the sky. Ain't that something? Life is funny that way. If you're an African person, I love Africa. The African Union, I just did a video on those guys. The African Union has united 1.2, 1.3 billion people in free trade agreements. And so, yeah, it's Nigeria, all these countries in sub-Saharan and whatever. You guys can go look up the fucking African Union, but very modern countries. And yeah, they've gotten very strong politically. They've used these very simple international governance mechanisms, not like Trump, who says, I'm going to, using my psychology, individually attack each of these sort of platforms I don't like. But the African Union has said, we'll set up one platform, right? Here you guys go, chat. Put on your platform, your diplomatic, your policy. There you go. It's all set. Cool. You're good? All right. And then until things can get better, if this is good. But until things can get better, here you guys go. Here's your policy. And so Africa is going to be a huge strategic ally to a lot of regions around the world. And I think very much they're going to develop this sort of sense of isolation, trade orientation, sort of sense of things where, who knows? I have no idea what the future is actually going to hold for anyone. I have no idea what the future is actually going to, the same exact thing, hold for anyone. It's insane. What do I feel about, I don't have emotions. That's what Sherry Ham says. What do you feel about, yeah, I feel for education, I don't know. I'm not an expert. I believe in supporting diverse education. I think we should have gifted programs for sure. I think people should have the choice of charter school and private school, but I don't believe in vouchers. I also believe in having, good investment in teachers and admin staff and specialized education plans. And yeah, I believe in the state college system. I went to community college, and yeah, So I think we should invest more in like the pre-K support and stuff for parents, but for higher education, I know people that have gone to school on Pell Grants. I know people that have gone to school with public tuition assistance, and so I support those programs. I also would entertain or hear the idea that, like, look, if you're telling people to go buy a $70,000 college education, maybe it's a good idea some years to go do that. But maybe some years it's an okay idea to, my own personal opinion is pay for it. Just pay for it and get it done with. That's how it should work. But yeah, but if you can go to community college and get your 2-year degree and then transfer and take some college classes, that's also really good. It's college education is irreplaceable. It's irreplaceable to be able to take your brain for 5 seconds or 5 minutes or 15 minutes and focus it on one subject. Go learn to weld. Yeah, that seems like a cool craft. I watch those welding videos on YouTube. They're kind of cool. That's what your answer is? Yeah, my answer is I don't have an answer. My answer is, yeah, I would hope my senators work with leaders in higher education, all of them. Yeah, yeah. I think if everyone just wants to talk to Michael Crow, who's the president of the largest university on the planet, I think it's like one of the biggest universities on earth. That's cool. Michael Crow probably knows a lot of stuff you don't know. But then also go talk to presidents or deans at community colleges too. I don't know. All right, guys, I'm officially crashed. You guys kept me here for an hour. I kept myself here. You guys didn't, but I kept myself here for an extra hour with you guys. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. I don't know how long. I know some of you guys have been here for a lot of the night, so thank you guys. Yeah, kind of a short banger, 2-hour banger. 2-hour banger. And yeah, I thank you guys. Thank you guys. Like the video, subscribe. You can double tap your screen if you're on mobile to like it, and I will catch you guys either this weekend or next week, and I'll see you in the shorts feed if you sub. Take care. Take care. We'll see you. All right, bye.